But what ayahuasca does is it does something called reducing sensory gating. So you and I have eyes, and our eyes see a tremendous frequency of light, but our mind only has access to what we call the visible spectrum, which is just that small band of frequency from the seven colors, red to violet, that we learned about in school. But our eyes can see beyond that. We just don't have access to that sensory information. Same with our ears. We can only hear that frequency of sound. There's like a dog whistle that blows. You can't hear it. The dog hears it. Well, our ears can hear that, but we just don't have access to it. And that's like an evolutionary process to create sensory gating because we live in the world that we live in now. I drive a car. I don't want to be seeing all the stuff out there. I would crash my car every day, like go
Yeah.
to work, try to do any of that. So we have developed what is referred to as sensory gating, which are like these blinders. Ayahuasca helps to remove those blinders. That gives us access to more sensory information, which is why it's very similar to turning the light on, because we can see more and hear more and feel more. All of our sensory information becomes amplified. And in doing so, there becomes this overlap between the higher frequency dimension, if you want to call it that, where the plant spirits reside, and our dimension, which is really just a reference to the frequencies of our limitations, our perceptual limitations. So if you think about the seven colors in our visible spectrum and think about them like seven notes in a scale, the eighth note of the scale is the same note as the first. So you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Those are the seven notes of the scale. And then the eighth note of the scale is A again. That's also the first note of the scale above it. So that eighth note is that sweet spot where ayahuasca overlaps or allows our reality to overlap with the dimension above us, which allows us to communicate and commune with spirits and receive energies and wisdom and guidance from those spirits.